Good evening, I'm Saraya Mia and you are watching AWANI Tonight. After 2 years of virtual events, the live event industry is ready to be back in full swing. And once borders reopen, how to put Malaysia back on the global tourism map. More on that coming up. Home Minister Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin vented his frustration at government lawmakers absent for the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012, or SOSMA, vote on Wednesday. He said those failed to vote in support of the motion neglected their responsibilities to safeguard national security. Hamzah also criticized the opposition bloc for politicizing the matter, suggesting their declaration of love towards the country was misguided based on how they voted on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Hamzah tabled a motion seeking to renew the provision under SOSMA that would have granted authorities the power to detain suspects for 28 days without trial. It was rejected by Parliament. The Human Resources Ministry will hold an engagement session with employers' body and business chambers on the new minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit. Its Deputy Minister, Dato' Awang Hashim, said the engagement session would be held sometime next month before the plan's implementation takes place on May 1st.
The sessions will involve the Malaysian Employers Federation MEF, Malaysian Trades Union Congress MTUC, Congress of Union of Employees in the Public and Civil Services QPACs, and business chambers. Awang also said that the ministry will also carry out segmentation exercises on sectors like tourism, agriculture, services and plantation, among others. The increased minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit per month will initially apply to big companies and government-linked companies nationwide, effective May 1st.
A sigh of relief for businesses across all sectors in Malaysia as the country slowly transitions into endemicity. For the events industry, which had been relying on virtual platforms for the past 2 years, how quickly will the sector recover? We speak to Para Rajagopal, founder of PR Worldwide.
The streaming channel and the digital channel was a temporary fix to see how they can, monetize or survive while we come back to the endemic phase where you can go back to normalcy. But now that we can see that the excitement as soon as the borders are open, and people are beginning to announce events and shows into the country, the entire industry is excited that we can go back to work. Since the time we announced Justin Bieber 2 days back, my phones are ringing off the hook, not only for tickets, but the entire industry, from the hotel to the transporter to the catering people, to the everybody that relies on events, the sound and light production companies, the staging companies. So they are so excited that they can go back to work.
According to Para, virtual platforms will still be relevant to the industry in the post-pandemic world, but online concerts can never replace live shows.
The virtual part can still be a ancillary income, where maybe some events will still be streamed live and virtual. So it can be there's a hybrid possibility that could happen, because maybe most events might get sold out and there's still going to be fans that want to go for the event and they can't go. So there could be a hybrid situation where the fans can still enjoy them from their homes or from their phones or from the devices.
Women are more prone to experiencing symptoms of long COVID. According to a report by University of Malaya, it is revealed that females are 58% more likely to get these symptoms after infected by the coronavirus as compared to males. We speak to Professor Dr. Moy Fong Ming from on the key concerns related to long COVID.
We do see that those who had severe symptoms for COVID infection and those who died, they are more men than women. So the immune system actually protect women from COVID, but because of our immune system is so strong, then the system persists, and women are more likely to suffer from long COVID compared to men.
She said one of the main concerns pertaining to long COVID is the inability for patients to return to their normal self after recovery from the virus.
We know that 80 to 90% of our COVID patients are mild, and they still suffer this kind of post-COVID conditions, which may affect their return to work. So one of the main issues complained by them is their cognitive impairment, or some of them, they may have brain fog. They are doing something like their teachers, they are preparing some materials to teach. Then suddenly they forgot, or they just come to a blank that they don't know why they are doing it. Or when they are teaching, then suddenly they realize they cannot continue and all. And these are the issues that it will affect their return to work or work productivity.
She called for more awareness on long COVID so that those who experience symptoms can deal with it accordingly.
What we are hoping to, these media pieces that we send in is to increase awareness on long COVID, so that patients who recovered but they still suffer this kind of symptoms, if it's serious, they are expected. They are strongly encouraged to seek treatment at the primary care level, at the GPs and the primary care levels. So that's why we are trying to increase awareness. So it is actually symptomatic, whatever symptoms you have, and then treatment will be given based on the symptoms. Yeah.
We'll continue after the break. Stay with us.
Bahmun semua padian, lihatlah Awani Borneo jam 7 malam setiap hari, banyak berita-berita cerita kita ni hanya di Astro Awani.
As borders reopen, many foreign travelers will seek long-haul travel destinations where they can visit one country after another. Carmelo Ferlito from Center for Market Education shares his thoughts on putting Malaysia back on the map.
I think that in this moment, thinking about a regional holiday is basically impossible, because first of all you have a totally different regulations from country to country. So imagine if you have to download an application like MySejahtera for each country in which you are going. This is obviously something that is discouraging every volunteer tourist. This is the first step. The second is that each country still requires a PCR test before arrival. So if you plan to visit 3 countries, you will have at the very least 3 PCR tests, and this is going to inflate the cost of your holiday. And if you are a family, this multiplies by the number of family members. So these are serious obstacles that I think will make people very skeptical to come in this region. When you have places like Europe, in which since last year, you can basically travel like before the pandemic within the continent.
He said coordination among ASEAN nations in developing reciprocal plans is needed to boost tourism within the region.
At least they should make the effort to develop like regional packages. So something like if you enter Malaysia within a touristic package, then you don't need another PCR to enter Indonesia. You don't need the night of quarantine that now is foreseen, in example, to go to Indonesia. You don't need additional proof. So you do all the proof that are requested at the first port of entry. But this requires an effort of coordination among nations.
In other news, the search area of the China Eastern Airlines crash has been expanded as recovery crew continue to locate the plane's second black box. The other black box, the cockpit voice recorder, was found on Wednesday, and it has been sent to Beijing for examination by experts. Chinese state media said that it could take up to 10 to 15 days to arrive at a preliminary analysis and longer before a final conclusion can be presented in a report. The cause of the crash remains unknown. The Boeing 737-800 flight was en route from the southwestern city of Kunming to Guangzhou when it plummeted from cruising altitude at about the time when it should have started its descent to its destination. China Eastern Airlines and its subsidiaries have temporarily grounded 223 of the Boeing fleet. All 132 people on board are feared dead. Meanwhile, sanctions against Russian businesses will not affect the Moscow government. Russian ex-president and deputy head of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, says it will instead consolidate the Russian society while not causing discontent towards authorities. The West has imposed an array of sanctions on Russia after it invaded Ukraine. But 1 month into the war, the Kremlin says it will continue its assault until it accomplishes its goals. Some sanctions specifically target billionaire businessmen believed to be close to President Vladimir Putin. According to Medvedev, Russian businessmen do not have influence over the country's leadership. Meanwhile, experts say sanctions including cutting key banks out of the SWIFT financial messaging system and barring Moscow from getting cash in dollars and euros is crippling the economy and will harshly impact ordinary Russian people. Now, Australia is offering a 4th dose of COVID-19 vaccines to everyone over the age of 65 from next month. The country reports daily infection rates of more than 50,000 in the past few days as a new Omicron strain races through the population. Health authorities warned cases could rise further during the upcoming winter. Australia has already seen a spike in COVID infections in recent days due to the Omicron subvariant BA2. The 4th shot of vaccines will also be given to Indigenous people over 50, the immunocompromised, and care home residents. Australia will join countries such as Denmark, Israel, and Chile, which had begun rolling out the 4th dose of vaccines. In the past 6 weeks, other countries including France, Germany, Sweden, and England have recommended a 4th COVID-19 vaccine dose for the most vulnerable, including the elderly. Negotiators from the European Parliament and EU have agreed on a law to curb the market dominance of U.S. big tech giants such as Google, Meta, Amazon, and Apple. EU antitrust regulator says the tough new law is expected to come into effect in October. The Digital Markets Act is designed to protect consumers and give rivals a better chance to survive against the world's powerful tech companies. The law contains about 20 rules that in many cases target monopolistic behavior by tech giants that have gone against EU's rules on competition, but which the bloc had struggled to enforce. Once implemented, the landmark law will give EU lawmakers unprecedented authority to keep an eye on decisions by these companies. Among the obligations under the proposed law include forcing Apple to open up its App Store to alternative payment systems, a demand that the iPhone maker has opposed fiercely. Can we address the sources of our political dysfunction by improving parliamentary culture? Tonight we speak to Tan Sri Arif Yusuf about his 2-year tenure as Speaker of Dewan Rakyat, as chronicled in his recent book, Parliament Unexpected. That's coming up on Consider This. That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on astroawani.com, or you can also download the Astro AWANI app. My name is Saraya Mia. We'll see you again soon.